to the shop proper, holstering his pistol as he went. By this time Kuda was kneeling over the two victims, peering at the woman's head. "Don't touch nothing, Kuda," said Roscoe, who had 3 years on the force and was senior of the two, and had been made painfully aware that the only duty of the so-called first officer at a murder scene was to take the names of witnesses and secure the area from any disturbance, especially from those far too common disturbances caused by first officers. "I'm not," said Kuda, "but look at this." Roscoe knelt too, being careful not to tread in the congealing pool of blood. "You see that strand of her hair over the ear, the bloody one?" Kuda asked, pointing. "Just watch it for a second." Roscoe did. He said, "It's moving. Holy shit, she's alive." "Now she's dead," said Kuda confidently. "The guy under her, he's alive." Detective Sergeant James L. Rainey, working homicide out of Midtown South, carefully copied the squiggles on the mirror in Abe's elite appetizing into his notebook. The crime scene unit people had taken any number of photographs of the interior of the shop and the bodies, now departed, one to the morgue and the other to nearby Beth Israel Hospital, and the bloodstains, but Rainey was a careful detective and liked to have the relevant material on his actual person during the course of a case. He put the notebook away and regarded himself frankly in the dusty, brown-speckled glass. Rainey was in his mid-30s, young for a detective sergeant, with a map-Ireland-faced, blue-eyed model. The eyes were cop eyes, although he had managed to avoid the cop gut. A good dresser, too, Rainey. His blue suit came from Hickey Freeman. His shoes, which were highly polished, were Florsheim Imperials. He didn't take bribes, but he didn't, like many cops, have a string of ex-wives and kids to support either. Bo James was one of his 3 departmental nicknames. The second, which adverted to an incident some years previously in which he had killed 4 armed robbers in 15 seconds by shooting them each through the head, was Pistol Jim, although not to his face. Rainey wandered over to where the head of the crime scene unit was gathering up his equipment. "Do any good?" he asked. "Oh, yeah," said the man. "We got an actual bloody thumbprint on the cash register there. Some sneaker prints in the blood. You're looking for a pair, by the way, 2 different prints. You catch these fuckers, they're going to go down for it." He looked around the little shop and frowned. "A fucking shame, right? Look like a couple of decent people. The guy going to make it?" Rainey shrugged. "White's over at Beth Israel finding out. Maybe he'll come to and say something. Funny thing about the thumbprint, the money was in the zip bag in the Vic's pocket, the woman. They couldn't have gotten away with anything but some smokes." The CSU man grunted, no longer surprised by any funny things to do with murders. After that, Rainey went outside and chatted with Roscoe and Kuda and their sergeant, spread some compliments around, and arranged for a local canvass to see if anyone knew why someone would want to murder Abe and Reva Shilkus, aside from the obvious thing, a robbery gone sour. There was a daughter, too. He would have to talk to her as well. He went back into the shop and used the payphone for 20 minutes, and then came out to the sidewalk, paced for a while, and scrounged a post from the front seat of the CSU van. The sports pages were of little interest. Rainey followed only baseball and basketball. It was now the baseball season, and a month in, it was perfectly apparent that neither the Yankees nor the Mets had the remotest chance of a pennant in 1981. Rainey had been born in 1949, and for the first 20 years of his life, the Yanks had won the pennant 14 times. This had shaped his consciousness of the way things ought to be, and like many a New Yorker, he regarded it as a prime symbol of the city's decline. Much of the news section was devoted to the aftermath of the assassination attempt on President Reagan. There, at least, they had the guy. He snorted, folded the paper, and tossed it back onto the van's seat. Rainey hated this case already. It was, first of all, a mystery, which is what NYPD detectives call a murder when the murderer is not readily apparent, in contrast to a grounder, when they find the guy weeping in the front room and the wife and the ball bat and the blood are to be found in the bedroom. It was not that he feared that they would fail to find the murderers. The crime scene had convinced him that they were not dealing here with Dr. Moriarty, the Napoleon of crime, but with a couple of assholes, and by and large assholes were easy to find and catch. It was the other stuff that irritated him. The victims were Jewish, and while Rainey was no linguist, the scrawls on the mirror looked like Arabic writing to him. That stank. The only thing worse than a mystery was a mystery with ethnic politics smeared all over it. A dark brown Plymouth Fury drove up to the curb, and Detective Second Grade Alonzo White got out. This person, whose skin was the color of damp coffee grounds, was about a third larger than Rainey and not nearly as well dressed. He was wearing a leather hip-length car coat, which he had purchased, along with the rest of his clothes, gray slacks, black rubber-soled shoes, a black checked shirt, and a knitted tie with the wrong end sliding over his belt buckle, in one of the cheap men's shops to be found on 6th Avenue in the 40s. He had 2 ex-wives and 3 children. Rainey liked him well enough, for although he had a mild case of that racism nearly universal among his caste and class, he also held that carrying the tin made you, on the job at least, an honorary Irishman. He also sort of liked the man's habit of extending a hand that looked like a bouquet of knotwursts, grinning gaudily and saying, "Hi, I'm White." To Rainey's inquiring look, White responded, "Looks like he's going to make it. It took a couple of holes in the gut and one to the